إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين ثم أما بعد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم شر الأمور محدثاتها كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد. Here we are again. This is our fifth lesson in regards to preparation for the signs of the hour. Ilyas and Yasin, come up here so that I can see your beautiful faces. Even closer, no problem. Good try. Here we are, we're going to talk about Ya'juj and Ma'juj. You all know, you've read Surah Al-Kahf many times. Alhamdulillah, you've read Al-Qarnayn. My request is that you could read it as much in English as you read it in Arabic. Since most of us, we understand English as our either native tongue or second to native tongue. Read it in the English language so that you can understand more what's going on. And we should do the same thing for the rest of the Quran al-Azim, to read it in a language that we can comprehend it. Because it's better for us to understand the message, because that message will have an effect on our life. So you've read Al-Kahf. And Al-Qarnayn, he put a group of people away. And they're called Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They are two tribes from the descendants of Noah. From the descendants of Yafith or Japheth. And Al-Qarnayn put them away. They will come out all at once. And they will spread mischief, they will conquer, they will pillage, that means to destroy, as well as take the goods of every place that they can reach. And the only ones that will be safe from Ya'juj and Ma'juj are those people who are in hiding, and those people who have built fortresses to protect themselves. No army, no bombs, no planes, no bullets, no ships, nothing will be able to keep them back. That's if any of these things are in existence at that time. But even if they were in existence, apparently that wouldn't be able to keep them back. Wallahu a'lam. So what is the story of Ya'juj and Ma'juj? Allah said about Dhul Qarnayn, ثُمَّ أَتْبَعَ سَبَبًا. Then he took another way until they reached between two mountains. And he saw a group of people there who hardly understood a single word that he said. And they said, Dhul Qarnayn, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are doing great mischief in this land. So can we tribute to you some payment with the request that you build a barrier between us and them? He said, that wealth or power or authority that Allah has given me is better than what you're offering me. But I need your help. Help me with the strength of your men, and I will make a barrier between you and them. So he told them, give me pieces of iron or blocks of iron, until he filled up the gap between the two mountain cliffs. And then he told them to blow with their bellows. When you want to ignite a fire, if you go camping or something, you get your match or you get your striking stick or rock, I forget what it's called, and you're trying to start a fire. As soon as you get the fire going, you want to blow into it. Because with oxygen, that fire can grow. So he's asking them to blow onto the fire or onto the hot iron with their bellows until it became as red as fire. Then he said, give me molten copper so that I can pour it on the wall. Therefore, or thereby Ya'juj and Ma'juj were not able to climb it, nor were they able to dig beneath it. Who is this Dhul Qarnayn? The scholars have disagreed, some saying that he is a prophet and some saying that he was just a great king. It seems that he was a great king and not a prophet at all. And he is not Alexander the Macedonian, Alexander the Great, as some people think. It's become actually famous that Alexander the Great is Dhul Qarnayn, but he is not. Because apparently Alexander the Great was a disbeliever, whereas Dhul Qarnayn was a believer. Wallahu a'lam, the reality of Alexander the Great, but it seems also that that cannot be him, because there was about at least 2,000 years between Dhul Qarnayn and Alexander the Great. Some have concluded, like Ibn Kathir, that this land that he reached, which is Dhul Qarnayn, was a region between two great mountains at the edge of the lands of the Turks, neighboring Armenia and Azerbaijan. So in that area. Allahu A'lam. It was also said that the Turks saw the immense power and destruction, they saw the immense power here of Dhul Qarnayn, and they witnessed the destruction of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, so they thought that maybe Dhul Qarnayn could help us out. They're seeking the help of someone that can possibly help them. And their idea was build a barrier between us and them so that we can be safe from their mischief. Because no one wants to be around troublemakers. And Dhul Qarnayn, instead of taking a payment for this action or this work, he volunteered his service. He just asked that the people assist him in establishing this barrier. And thus the barrier was built. They were not able to climb over it, nor are they able to dig underneath it. What is the religion of Ya'juj and Ma'juj? According to Hafid ibn Hajar, rahimahullah, he said that since the two tribes descended from Japheth or Japheth, the son of Noah, they may have had, wallahu alam, they may know what disbelief and belief are. Therefore, wallahu alam, it seems that they are generally disbelievers, unless there are some exceptions amongst them. Imran ibn Hussein said that the Prophet ﷺ was on a journey with his companions, and he raised his voice, saying, O mankind, fear your Lord and be dutiful to him, because the earthquake of the hour is a terrible thing. On the day that you will see it, every nursing mother will forget her baby that she is nursing. And every pregnant female will drop their babies instantly. Meaning, their babies will fall out of their bellies. And you will see people as if they are drunken. Because when people are drunk, they stumble around, right? They stumble around, back and forth. Allah said, when you see people, they will look just like that. But they are not drunken at all. But the reality is, the punishment of Allah is severe. That's why they are acting like that. May Allah save us. When the companions heard that, they started urging their horses on toward the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because they realized that he wanted to tell them something. And that's the difference between us and them, that when they know that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam wants to tell them something, they move forward toward it. As when most of us, when we are told what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam instructed us with, we are trying to go away from it. Trying to go the opposite direction. And some people think that being ignorant about something is success for them. They say, hey, I don't want to know, don't tell me. Because if you tell me, then I have to act on it. I'd rather be ignorant. No, not the Sahaba. They didn't behave like that. They knew that whatever the Prophet ﷺ had to say, that it was worth listening to. So they would move toward whatever he had to say, sallallahu alayhi. So then he asked them, do you guys know what that day is? Meaning the day that Allah just described. He said, that is the day when Adam will be called by his Lord. May Allah be blessed and exalted. He said, oh Adam, send forth the group that are destined to go to hell. And he will say, oh my Lord, who are the group that are destined for hell? He will say, from every 1,000 people, 999 people will enter hell, and one person will enter paradise. So from the descendants of Adam, 999 people will enter hell, and one person will enter paradise. Imran Hussein, upon hearing this, he said the despair of the companions, the companions became so scared when the Prophet ﷺ said that people couldn't even smile. Nobody was, they were so affected. They were worried. Could you imagine? Worried. You know what worry is? I don't think most of us worry very much these days. Except when it comes to your video game being lost. Maybe your friend broke it. Right? Or perhaps some money that you lost, or your cellular phone. You lose your cell phone because your life is all on it. And the phone is so smart that it made you kind of dumb, so to speak. The smarter the phone gets, the more unintelligent we become. So when we lose something like that, we get worried. But the Sahaba, they were worried that there are 999 people going to hell, and only one is going to paradise. So they say, Ya Rasulullah, which one of us is that one? Looking around. Which one of us qualify? That's what concerns them. Maybe we should be like them. They seem pretty and really dedicated to this deen. They seem really affected by this deen. They were really worried. They were hanging on everything the Prophet ﷺ said. Maybe we should try to be more like them. It seems to have benefited them immensely, to the extent that Allah said, رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ, that Allah is satisfied with them all, and they are all satisfied with Him. Allahu Akbar. When the Prophet ﷺ noticed that they had become scared or frightened by this, he said, strive hard, try your best, and be of good cheer and optimism. Because I swear by the one in whose hand my soul is, or the soul of Muhammad is, you will be with two creations who are never joined to anything except that they prevail in numbers. That means you, meaning the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, will come across two groups of people that will outnumber them. And they will outnumber everybody. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam said they are Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And then he said, and those of the sons of Adam and the sons of Iblis that are doomed. Meaning out of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and the descendants of Adam and the descendants of Iblis that are doomed to hell, out of all of them will be 999. And there will be one believer from the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi and the ummah that came before him, the prophets Moses and Isa and Noah. It will be one for each 999 people. Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you see how precious it is to believe now? You're literally one out of 1,000. Each one of you represent 999 other people that are going to hell. May Allah put me in Jannah with you all. Think about how precious Iman is now. He chose you out of 1,000 people. And we turn our backs on the Quran. We don't care much about the prayer. It loses its meaning. That we're abusive to one another. We talk about one another. Come on. We think that our race is superior to someone else's race? Or that our culture, or in fact that our tribe is superior to someone else's tribe? What is this? How is it that we behave in such an ungrateful way when Allah has chosen you out of 1,000 people to go to paradise? Man, this is deep. That's something worth being grateful for. The Prophet ﷺ also said, strive hard and be of good cheer and optimism, because I swear by the one in whose hand the sword of Muhammad is, in relation to other people, in comparison to other people, you all are like a black spot on the side of a camel, or like the small circle on the leg of a beast. All of the Ummah of Muhammad are like, you're just like a spot on the side of a camel. Now compare the whole camel to a spot. That's the rarity and the uniqueness of you all, the believers and the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What about their numbers? How many were there or are there? Abdullah ibn Amr radiyallahu ta'ala anhu narrated the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Ya'juj and Ma'juj are of the sons of Adam. If they were allowed to come out, they would cause mischief and ruin people's lives. And not one of them would die before leaving behind 1,000 or more of his offspring. This means for every person, according to this narration, and apparently it is, some say weak, some say strong, but just to give you an idea, for every one person, he will not die until he sees 1,000 of his own children. That's a lot of kids. That means it's a lot of them. And also, Abdullah ibn Amr, he narrated himself. He did not say that the Prophet ﷺ said. So, some scholars consider this not to be a hadith, but just from Abdullah ibn Amr, what he learned from the various schools. Some say this, the Banu Israel, the Israelites and their narrations and so forth, but just to give you another idea. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divided all of His creation into 10 parts. How many? 10. 9 parts are the angels. And 1 part is the rest of the creation. And then He divided the angels into 10 parts. 9 parts of the angels glorify Allah non-stop. And only 1 part sends the message to the messengers. And then He divided the rest of the creation, meaning beside the angels, into 10 parts. 9 parts of them are from the jinn. And only 1 part are the descendants of Adam. And then He divided the descendants of Adam also into 10 parts. 9 parts are Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and 1 part is the rest of mankind. And their numbers are huge. They are a massive number of people. And of course, as we said, this is most probably since he did not say that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, and this could be from what he inherited in his search for knowledge and what he took from the descendants of Israel, the Prophet, the Israelites. And also, there's a general rule that when the Sahaba narrate things from the unseen, that it could be from the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, because there's no way they would know that except from Rasulullah. So there's that possibility, but wallahu alam, it seems like he got that from their narrations, meaning the narration of the people of the book, and it just draws some type of picture for us. What will they look like? Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Khalid ibn Abdullah ibn Harmala said that his aunt said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam addressed the people with a band tied around his head because he had been stung by a scorpion. Yes, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam sometimes suffered difficulties, like being stung by insects. What do you think, he was Superman? No, he was a human being, but he was the best human being for us to follow. And he suffered the scorpion's sting and other various ailments and sicknesses and difficulties. So it's a good thing that when you suffer, you can be patient like he was patient, sallallahu alayhi. And you can seek the reward out of those difficulties as he sought the reward, sallallahu alayhi. So he then said, are you saying that there is no enemy? You will continue to fight until Ya'juj and Ma'juj come, with broad faces, small eyes, and reddish black hair. They will come rushing and spreading from every hill, with their faces resembling hammered shields. This means that their faces are wide and fleshy. And he said they have small eyes. How will they break through their barrier? Because we know that Dhul Qarnayn built this really big, huge barrier that they're unable to break through. So how will they eventually break through? Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that they are digging every day and they nearly break through it. Every day. Until the one who was in charge of them says, go back. We'll come back tomorrow and finish the job. But every time they go back and they return, they find it even more fortified than it was yesterday, and even more difficult to breach. Then one day, the one who was in charge of them will say, go back, and insha'Allah, you will find it, we will continue tomorrow. And because he said insha'Allah, which means what? One second. Let's see if our children can tell us what insha'Allah. We know our elders know it. Let's see if our children know.
If God wills.
If God wills, good job. If Allah allows, if Allah permits, if God wills. Insha'Allah, tomorrow we'll come back to it. Say that's the blessing of saying insha'Allah. Because even Ya'juj and Ma'juj will be able to come out because they said it. When they come out the next day, they'll find whatever work they did the previous day will be still there. And they'll continue from there until they finally break through. And guess what? They're not going to wait for a green light, yellow light, red light. They don't care. They're going to come out rushing. Everything and everyone. Vicious. You're talking about chaos. It's scary to think about it, actually. The more you think, that's the point, though, right? You're supposed to, when you think about it, you're supposed to feel some type of apprehension. You're supposed to be worried a little bit so that you can prepare. At least you say, Ya Allah, save me from them. And that's good enough. Just that one time that you believe in Allah and you believe what He told Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and you say, Ya Allah, save me from the fitna of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, you've succeeded. For one dua, you've succeeded. Allahu Akbar. That's how important, that's how valuable faith is. From this hadith we understand three things. Number one, Allah has prevented them from digging continuously day and night. Because if they were to do day and night, they would have been able to break free already. So in the daytime they dig, and the nighttime they sleep. He has also prevented them from trying to climb the barrier with a ladder or such, or scaling. So Allah will not guide them to the means with which they could try to climb over it. Also, He will not guide them to say, Insha'Allah, until it is time for them to come out. That's when He will give one of them that feeling that they should say, Insha'Allah. This lets you know also that they are skilled individuals. They're not dummies. They have tools. They have weaponry. They're skilled. And they have a leader that directs them what they should and should not do. So they're a civilized group of people. They're just, they're not yet leashed out. I mean, they're unleashed from, so they are not yet out from their trap or their jail. But they are a civilized group of people. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let us know that Dhul Qarnayn is the one who put them behind the barrier. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, حَتَّى إِذَا فُتِحَتْ يَأْجُوجُ وَمَأْجُوجُ وَهُمْ مِنْ كُلِّ حَدَبٍ يَنْسِلُونَ, until when Ya'juj and Ma'juj are let loose, and from every mound or rock, high place or elevated place, they will swoop down. So if you can imagine those zombie movies, right? When you see them, and the zombies are coming from everywhere. They're, you know, I don't know the names. I haven't seen that myself. He suggested The Walking Dead. You know, somebody's going to go and watch it today. He said, let me see what it's on. But you can imagine these movies, the special effects, right? They're coming from everywhere. Imagine that. Just to put your head there. That's what Ya'juj and Ma'juj probably look like, or even worse. They're coming from everywhere. The zombie apocalypse will come now. Except that, of course, they're not zombies. But that will happen. That's the point. That thing will happen, and these creatures, yani these human beings, will be coming out from everywhere, attacking everybody. It's pretty scary. It's pretty scary. May Allah see. Then, al-Mu'mineen Zainab bint Jahsh radiyallahu anha said, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he came to her and he was panicking. Because when you panic, what do you usually do?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, what else do you do when you panic? Breathe fast and hard.
Punch things.
Right, punch things? Maybe you do, brother. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I don't think he was punching things. He was worried, right? You know, your eyes are open and he's probably sweating and these things. So he entered upon her and he was panicking, you know. And he said, La ilaha illallah. And when he's panicking, he says, La ilaha illallah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. La ilaha. Isn't that such a big... And when he's panicking, he says what? La ilaha illallah. That there is no deity or God that actually exists beside Allah. And therefore he's the only being that is deserving of worship. He said, woe to the Arabs from an evil that has approached. Today a hole like this has been opened in the barrier of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And in the hadith it says that he made a circle between his thumb and his index finger, his pointy finger. She said, meaning Zainab bint Jahsh, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Messenger of Allah, will we be destroyed even though there are righteous people amongst us? Even though there are people that pray and fast and fear Allah and love Rasulullah and sacrifice, righteous folks. These people are amongst us, will we all be destroyed? And he responded, yes. When and if evil is prevalent. When evil is uppermost, when it outweighs or outnumbers good folk, everybody gets it. Everybody gets destroyed. Well, aren't we in a time where evil is prevalent? And don't we see the punishments when they descend on all of us? Punishment doesn't have to necessarily be in the form of a natural disaster. It can be the fact that most of our kids don't have any manners. Most of our kids don't know how to be dignified. They don't know how to show respect. not to one another, nor to you as their parents. That's a punishment. How do you know that? What's the evidence that having kids that are abusive is a punishment? It could be a punishment. Evidence, yellow. Somebody tell me the evidence. You know it. Okay, I'm going to give you a clue. It's in Surah Al-Kahf. Now tell me. I know you remember it. When I say it, you're going to say, ah, yeah, I remember that. I wanted to say it. When Khidr killed the boy. Remember? He killed the boy. And he said that perhaps, had he lived, he would have exhausted his parents with oppression and disbelief. And because they were too believing parents, Allah saved them from the tyranny of that young boy. Even though he was a boy, but had he grown elder, he would have been a troublemaker. So having blessed kids that are respectful and disciplined and kind and loving, that's a mercy from Allah. And having the opposite is a test from Allah, a big test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My point is, it does not have to be in the form of a natural disaster. It could be in what we have today. Like I said, most of our kids don't have disrespect. And then most of us have lost grips on our priorities. We prioritize our secular education as well as our work, in addition to our status quo, our life, basically our life or our living expenses, or I want to say our style of living, or how much we spend and what type of house we have. We put a lot of focus on those types of things. And we have not put enough focus on how our kids are being developed. So, for that reason, we're having a difficult time. But Allahu A'lam, we can turn that around. If we ask Allah to save us, we ask Allah to make us upright, to make us worthy of His mercy, then He can fix all of our problems. He promised. Allah does not have a problem with fixing our problems at all. We are the ones who have a problem with having our problems fixed. Abu Hurairah also said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, today a hole like this has been opened in the barrier of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that Allah will say to Adam, O Adam, and then Adam will respond, I'm at your service. Here I am. All goodness is in your hand. And he will say, bring forth those who are destined to go to hell. And he will say, meaning Adam, who are those that are destined to go to hell? Allah will respond, from every 1,999. At that point, every young person's hair will turn gray. So when does your hair turn gray? She said when you're old. He also said when you're old. Also when you're stressed out.
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging you guys to see it, but there was a movie that I grew up on called It.
We got a new one this last year.
Yeah, I haven't seen the new one, but the old one was the kids were so scared of it that immediately their hair turned gray. I don't know if it's the same in the new one.
No.
He said no. Yes, sir.
Even like you're 120.
Right, indeed. And probably because, the older you get, the more stressful thing your kids are on you, perhaps. I'm just joking. Perhaps it's something with growing elder and getting gray hairs, but the kids on the Day of Judgment, their hair will turn immediately white out of fear. Why? Because out of every 1,000 people, how many are going to hell? 999.
Flip it over 666.
Right. So then every woman who is carrying a baby will drop her baby right there. Not carrying a baby in her hand, carrying a baby in her stomach. She will drop it right there at that moment. And the people will appear as if they are intoxicated. They're drunk, but they are not drunk at all. But the punishment of Allah is severe. Could you imagine? Do you know that we're going to that day? Have you felt, do you feel it? That we are approaching the day of judgment? We are approaching it fast. It does not delay. And as many of you most likely remember, you beautiful elder folk, with that beautiful gray on your face, it was not too long ago that you were as young as me. And you looked at your elders. And now you're looking at your kids wondering what type of legacy you left behind, that you know that they may survive you. And you're probably thinking about your grave, and you're thinking about these things. That just as your elders passed and now you have become elder in this deen, alhamdulillah, you will pass and leave your kids behind. The day of judgment is coming. They said, O Messenger of Allah, which of us, meaning the Sahaba, he said, which of us will be that one individual? Which of us will be that one out of the 999? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, be cheerful. Because there will be one man from you and 1,000 from Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And then he said, I swear by the one in whose hand my soul is, I hope that you all will make up 1/4 of the people of paradise. Meaning the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, I hope that you will make up how much? 1/4. That means there are 3/4 left. Then they said, Allahu Akbar. They were excited. So then he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I hope that you all will make up 1/3 of the people of paradise. Now which is bigger, 1/3 or 1/4? 1/3, good job. Y'all paying attention in school. Allahu Akbar.
Yes.
That's good. And then the Sahaba said, Allahu Akbar. And then he said, I hope that you all will make up half of the people of Jannah. Allahu Akbar. The Sahaba said, Allahu Akbar. They were so excited that we, the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, will make up half of the inhabitants of paradise. That's how many we are. If you compare us to everyone else who ever came and believed, we make up half of everybody.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's right. That's right. And then he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, among the people, meaning when you compare you, the Ummah of Muhammad, to the rest of the world and the rest of the people, it's like a single black hair on the hide or skin of a white bull, or a single white hair on this hide or fur of a black bull. That's how rare you are. Don't you feel empowered by that statement? Don't you feel good about it? Why? Because you said, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. And the reality is Allah gives that statement more importance than we actually give it. Right? When you take it practically speaking, as Muslims, we don't give that statement that much importance. You know what I mean? That statement should work wonders for us. It should make us love one another, sacrifice for one another, strive and do whatever we can for our brother and our sister who said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. To care, to love that statement so much that we go about spreading it in the world, right? And we're trying to pull people to understand this great statement. And we won't talk bad about our brother because he said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, nor our sister. And we won't think bad thoughts about them because they said, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and so forth. I mean, this statement is so massive, as it was mentioned in the hadith, and if you were to take this statement and put it on one side of a scale, in the heavens and the earth, all of them, the whole of the creation, and put it on the other side of the scale, La ilaha illallah is heavier than all of the heavens and the earth. In fact, it was for that statement that Allah created the heavens and the earth, so that His creatures would know that reality. Because it's that reality is the greatest reality, that the only deity that actually exists, the only God that actually exists is Allah. And any other God in 1,000 quotations is a false God. It doesn't even exist. And therefore, He is the only one deserving of what? Worship. Good job. That's a wonderful statement. So, it's because of that that you are so special. Imran ibn Hussein also narrated that the Prophet ﷺ was on a journey, and it's similar to the previous narration that Imran ibn Hussein said, that Rasulullah ﷺ said, try your best, be cheerful, be optimistic. Try your best. Strive hard. And he told us about Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and that out of Ya'juj and Ma'juj and the doomed descendants of Adam, as well as the descendants of Iblis, out of all of them, we will be one out of 1,000 in enter Jannah, inshallah. May Allah join me with you all in Jannah. The Prophet ﷺ said, speaking about the hour, he said that when Jesus, Isa ibn Maryam, is ruling the people, he said, while they are like that, meaning Isa ibn Maryam is ruling the people, Allah will reveal to Isa, I have caused some of my slaves to emerge, and no one has the ability to fight them. So take my servants, meaning those believers with you, take them to At-Tur. Take them to the mountain of At-Tur. And Nawas ibn Sam'an radiyallahu anhu said, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, and Allah will send Ya'juj and Ma'juj, who will swarm down from every slope, from every elevated place. The first of them will pass by the lake of Tiberias, which is also called the lake of Galilee, which is currently in occupied Palestine. And they will drink from it, meaning the Ya'juj and Ma'juj will drink from the lake of Galilee, also known as Bahr al-Jalil. They will drink from it, and when the last of them passed by it, they will say, there was water here. You're talking about people who drink a whole lake. A lake. They drink the whole thing. A lake. When you see a lake, it looks like it never ends, doesn't it? When you see an ocean, it looks like, a lake, which is fresh water, not salt water, you see it looks like, wow, a lake. They will pass by the first of them, and they will drink, until when the last ones come by, they will say, there was a lake here. That means it's going to be dry. No water left. They're going to say, it was a lake here. That's how many people there are. He also said, sallallahu alayhi, that they will march until they come to the mountains of Qamar, which is the mountain of Bayt al-Maqdis, meaning in that area. And they will say, we have killed all of the people who are on earth. Now let us kill those who are in the heavens, meaning the angels. They will shoot their arrows in the sky. And when they do that, their arrows will come back down drenched in blood. Now, is it a state of disbelief or belief that they feel like they're going to conquer the inhabitants of the heavens? State of disbelief or belief? Disbelief. A state of disbelief. You're so arrogant that you're like, oh, we've killed everybody, we want to kill people up there too. Are you kidding? How reasonable is that, right? Think about it. So they'll shoot their arrows actually, and Allah will send them back down drenched in blood, and they're going to say, we've even conquered the inhabitants of the heavens. Like that's like Napoleon on steroids, you know what I mean? The conquer mentality, right? Kids have studied it.
Napoleon.
See? But they are indeed, this is what they want to do. This is something that they want to do. So Allah Jalla wa'ala will then send down worms on their necks, and they will die in the morning as if they were one person. They will die all at the same time. Then the Prophet of Allah, Isa ibn Maryam, and his companions will come down to the earth, and they will not find a spot the size of a handspan on the earth that is not filled with their stench and their bodies. So basically, this is how many people there are. They're like stacked on top of each other. Stacked and placed next to each other when they perish. And not a single handspan you will find that won't be covered by them. And they will stink. Their bodies will stink. The Prophet of Allah, Isa ibn Maryam, and his companions will ask Allah, and Allah will send birds that have the necks like camels, that will take these dead bodies and throw them wherever Allah wills. Then Allah will send rain, which will not be enough for any house that is made of clay or hair. Meaning this rain will fill up everywhere. Mind you, it will not destroy the people who are alive, but it will be everywhere. And it will wash the earth and leave it like a mirror. Shiny and clean. Then it will be said to the earth, meaning Allah will say to the earth, bring forth your fruits and restore your blessing. On that day, a group of people will eat from a pomegranate and shelter beneath its skin. Remember we said these ahadith, the narrations of the rule of Jesus? They will eat from one group of people, and from 3 to 10 people will eat from a pomegranate, and then they will put up the skin of the pomegranate to save them from the sun or protect them from the sun. And he said milk will be blessed until a camel that is being milked will be sufficient enough for a crowd of people. One camel will be enough to everybody to drink their full of. Like this is a crowd of people. And then he said, sallallahu alayhi, that he said, while they are like that, and there are some other narrations, we'll get to them. He said, while they are like that, Allah will send a pleasant wind that will seize every believer from underneath, even their armpits. It will embrace them, and it will remove their souls. And then he said, the most evil of people will be left on earth thereafter, and they will fornicate like donkeys. And upon them the hour will be established. Right? They're going to have illegal premarital intercourse. And even after marital intercourse, they're going to be fornicating with one another. Men and women and otherwise. You got the drift. And upon them the hour will be established. According to another report, Isa ibn Maryam and his companions will beseech Allah and ask Allah to send to them birds. Allah will send to them birds like the necks of camels. Their necks will be like the necks of camels, and they will carry and throw all of the Ya'juj and Ma'juj into deep holes. And the Muslims will use their bow and arrows and quivers as fuel for 7 years.
I know it, right?
That means also that the growth, the vegetation and growth and trees and stuff like that, the Muslims will use their bows and arrows and quivers as fuel for 7 years long. And also Abdullah bin Mas'ud mentioned that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came across Moses and Jesus on the night journey, and they were discussing the hour. And Isa ibn Maryam mentioned that he would come back and kill the Dajjal. And he said when that happened, people will go back to their homes, to their countries. And then the news of Ya'juj and Ma'juj will come. And when they come, they will swarm down on us from every slope, on people basically from every slope. And they will not pass by any water except that they will drink it. And they will not pass by anything else except that they will spoil it. And the people will come to me, meaning Isa, for help. And I will call upon Allah, who will cause Ya'juj and Ma'juj to die. And the earth will be filled with their stench. And people will urge that I call upon Allah again. And the sky will send down water which will carry them away also. Abu Hurairah also narrated that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said about Ya'juj and Ma'juj, they will emerge against the people and drink the water, and the people will flee away from them, run away from them, and they will shoot their arrows in the sky, which will come back like stained with blood. And they will say, we have defeated the people of the earth and those who are in the heavens and overpowered everybody. Then Allah will send against them a worm, worms that will break their necks. Worms in their necks. And the narration says break their necks. And they will die. So there you are, the destruction of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Again, to reiterate, they will pass by a river. The first of them will pass by a river, and then the last of them will say there was a river here. The Rasul ﷺ said that when none of the people are left, except those who went and hid in fortresses, one of them, meaning Ya'juj and Ma'juj, will say, we have finished the inhabitants of the earth. Now what is left is the inhabitants of the heavens. And he said, one of them will shake their spear and throw it into the sky, which will come back stained with blood. And then Allah will send on them worms, and these worms seem like maggots to me. I mean, I haven't found, these worms seem like maggots to me, apparently, wallahu a'lam, or something worse than that. He said that these insects will devour, will destroy and kill Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Then one Muslim will say, aren't one of you going to offer himself for the sake of Allah and go and see what's happened to the enemy of God, the enemy, which is Ya'juj and Ma'juj? One of them will decide to do that, and he will seek the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in doing so. He will go down and he will find them dead, lying on top of one another. Then he will call out, "O Muslims, be of good cheer, be optimistic, be happy. Allah has sufficed you against your enemy." And they will come out of their cities and fortresses, and that their flocks graze. But they will have nothing to graze on except the remains of the flesh of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And that's initially, that's before the water comes. But it says that when they graze off of the remains of that flesh, it will be better than any vegetation that they had ever eaten, meaning the animals. So that's how deep it is. That's how many of Ya'juj and Ma'juj there are. Now, after Ya'juj and Ma'juj are destroyed, there will be no killing until the death of Isa ibn Maryam, and maybe even sometimes after. There will be no fighting. There will be no killing. Salama ibn Nufayl said that while we were sitting with the Prophet ﷺ, a man came to him and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, the horses have been neglected and weapons have been laid down." Meaning the Rasul ﷺ defended his city with his forces. And basically there was no qualms about that. And no one could check the Prophet, and no one could defeat him in a battle. But after a while, the Sahaba said, basically the horses have been left alone and no weapons are being used because we're not fighting like that. And he said that they said to him that fighting must have ceased. And some people say that fighting has ceased. In this narration, Rasulullah ﷺ said, war will never cease until Ya'juj and Ma'juj emerge. That Muslims and whoever else will continue to fight until the day of judgment, until Ya'juj and Ma'juj. After Ya'juj and Ma'juj are defeated, then there will be no fighting. Hajj and Umrah will also continue after Ya'juj and Ma'juj, because of course no one's going to be making Hajj and Umrah with Ya'juj and Ma'juj going around destroying and pillaging everything. Where is this barrier of Dhul Qarnayn? Can anyone see it? The reality is that someone can see it. If you come across it, you can see it. Where is it exactly? The scholars don't have a particular point, but they do have narrations where some of the Sahaba came to Rasulullah and said, "I saw it." And he said, "It looks like a striped garment with black and red stripes." And the Prophet ﷺ said, "You saw it." So some of the Sahaba even came across it and saw the barrier of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So is it possible that we can see it today? Indeed. Just as people saw it before, it's possible you can come across it and recognize it. You want to make a voyage and look for Ya'juj and Ma'juj? It might make a really nice Discovery Channel documentary. You know what I mean? Why not? I mean, they put everything else on there, every other documentary. Why don't we go out there and say, hey, let's go look for Ya'juj and Ma'juj. You might fail, but, you know, at least we put a documentary out there, and the Muslims were putting their faith out there that we believe in this. Wallah, somebody, one day, they're going to take up that idea, I think. Put some money together. So why haven't satellites and so forth discovered Ya'juj and Ma'juj or the Dajjal? Because satellites are prone to mistake. Not only that, but they're made by humans, Johnny. Yes, they're creatures of God, right? Even the satellites are created by God. So these creatures are deficient. Even if it's a light bulb, it has some deficiency. And Allah is in power and control of all things. So if He does not allow any satellite or anything else to pick it up, then it's easy for Him. Right? Allah says, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah has created things that you don't even know. Allah has created things that you don't even know. So, and Allah Jalla wa Ala told us that there are signs even in ourselves. We have signs, signs or miracles even within yourself. We haven't even understood all of the capabilities of the human being yet. So of course it's easy for us not to come across that. Son, did you have a question? Sorry, you had your hand up. Yes, sir.
I thought satellites were created by like space stations.
Yes, but who created space stations?
Construction workers?
Construction workers. And who created construction workers?
Parents?
And who created parents?
Grandparents?
Who created them?
Great-grandparents.
Okay, if you go all the way back to Adam, who created Adam?
Evolution of monkeys?
No. Sorry. Hold up now. Parents are supposed to be checking what you learning at school now. That's your responsibility. Okay? So, right?
You just learned evolution in science class.
Yes, you learn evolution in science class. It's a theory. You know what a theory means?
Not proven.
Good job. Awesome. Something that's not what?
Not
Proven. So don't take... It's an educated guess. But what did Allah does Allah tell you educated guesses, or He tells you the truth?
The truth.
Good. So listen to what Allah says. Right? Allah said He created Adam. So He created Adam, alayhi salam. So therefore Allah created everything. Everything that you see is Allah's creation. Even He taught you and I how to make a light bulb. He taught us how to construct. Allah said, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. The evidence here is He taught mankind what he did not know. He taught mankind what? What he didn't know. Meaning you didn't know anything and then Allah taught you. And Allah said, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Allah taught Adam the names of all things. You see? So everything that we do is something that Allah taught us. Right? وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. They, meaning the inhabitants of the heavens and the earth, do not encompass any of His knowledge, meaning the knowledge of Allah, except as much as He allows. And the last evidence I will use for that, listen up. My man, stop moving that paper around. I'm trying to deliver here. The last evidence that I will use is that when Khidr and Musa were standing next to each other on the boat, and the bird dipped its beak into the water twice, Khidr said to Moses, my knowledge and your knowledge in comparison to Allah's knowledge is like what this bird just took out of this water, of this ocean. Meaning we know nothing. Right? So everything that we do know is from Allah's knowledge. And everything that we do make is because Allah enabled us and gave us the intellect to do so. So everything is Allah's creation. That's my point. So, yes, Allah allowed the space stations to make satellites. Therefore, those satellites are creatures of God, creations of God. Are the Muslims ordered to fight Ya'juj and Ma'juj? The answer is no. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Isa ibn Maryam that I have sent these servants of mine out and no one has the ability to fight them. So we're not even ordered to fight them. But are we ordered to fight the Dajjal? Yes. We are ordered, we're commanded to fight the Dajjal. Believe that. So when he comes, inshallah, we are united under the Mahdi, under the guided one from the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We will fight against the Dajjal. But the Ya'juj and Ma'juj were not ordered to fight against. Any questions? No problem, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is there any narration that tells the general area of where
As it said here, Azerbaijan, it seems to be, Allahu Alam. That was Ibn Kathir, he said that. But there is no, it's not, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said it. You know what I mean? But these people were historians. These people were also geographers. They went around, they, you know what I mean? They did a lot of study, a lot of research to kind of try to pinpoint these places. Wallahu Alam. Yes, sir.
When you said Ya'juj and Ma'juj like go everywhere,
Yes.
are they able to go Mecca and Medina?
There is nothing there's nothing preventing that. You know that the Dajjal does not enter Mecca and Medina, but Rasulullah did not say the same about Ya'juj and Ma'juj. So that means that most probably, yes, they will go into Medina with no problem. And Mecca, no problem. Because he did not say that they won't. Yes, sir.
So did Allah set forward evolution? Like, did He like create the first animals?
Of course he created everything, right?
Yeah.
As we said, evolution is still a theory. It has to be proven, right? And we do have the truth from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? We have that He created Adam. So if that means that it was through evolution, then that's what it means. But evolution has yet to be what? Proven.
Proven and
Right.
discovered.
And right, so people, it's an idea, it's a theory. But the reality is we want to keep it as it is, meaning we want to keep knowledge and our belief in it as it is, that Allah created Adam, and that's the end of it. If we come across some other understanding with the Quran and Sunnah, not without the Quran and Sunnah, then inshallah we'll believe in that. But apparently He created a man, not an ape. Yes, sir.
Is this all occurring before Mahdi and the
It's
Dajjal?
after.
Afterward.
After the Dajjal is killed by Isa ibn Maryam, and then he will rule over the people for some time. People go back home and relax and stuff like that. Then Ya'juj and Ma'juj will come out. Yes, sir.
So if someone does find that barrier,
Yes.
would you say that he would either be able to either climb over it or look through that hole that Muhammad sallallahu mentioned?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I mean, remember the boys in the cave, right? There was a dog at the mouth of the cave, and people were afraid. If they walked by, you would be afraid to go near the caves because the dog was there. So the dog was kept alive for 300 years, and those boys were kept alive for 300 years, right? So it's easy that Allah can deter you away from somewhere. It's not an issue. Yes, ma'am. Let me get some sisters.
I was wondering, in some of the writings, some people refer to the people of Ya'juj and Ma'juj to the Mongols. But I'm kind of thinking, how could that be the Mongols when Ya'juj and Ma'juj will come after Dajjal?
Exactly.
And I think that the confusion comes because of the Qarnayn, you know what I mean? Because you said that Qarnayn was a believer.
Right.
Alexander the Great was not a believer.
Right.
So why would some of the writings refer back to the Mongols?
That's a good question. So why do some of the historians or people who lived the times of the Mongol Empire, which is a very, very, very extremely disappointing time that the Muslims lived in, mind you, I want you to go do some research. Look how divided the Muslims were. I mean, you thought we were divided today? I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, that aspect of the division of the Muslims and their hatred for one another for no reason, for whatever reason they thought was justified. But people at the time of the Mongol Empire, they thought that they were Ya'juj and Ma'juj because of their similarities. No one could fight them. They came from everywhere. You know what I mean? They struck fear into people's hearts. I mean, they did all of that. So people were wondering, is that Ya'juj and Ma'juj? It's like Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, radiyallahu anhu, when he became the Khalifa, people asked, is he the Mahdi? And the reason why, because he had similar traits to what they learned. That he will spread justice and and equality and so forth. So that he has so many characteristics that were similar. So they asked, is that him? But then they were told that no, that's not him. So that's the reason why people who were living at the time, they were experiencing it. We're looking back on it and say, oh, that wasn't Ya'juj and Ma'juj. But people who were there, they fought so because it was so similar. That's why. Now, any more sisters have a question? I'll come back to the brothers if they have any.
Some of the Sheikhs, scholars, they have an understanding that Ya'juj and Ma'juj are already out.
Right.
And they're living among the people.
Right.
So.
And I've come across that narrative also. But the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam described them with certain features. Right? And somebody might say, well, they fit those features. Okay. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned them coming out after the Dajjal has been killed. And that means that the Muslims will rule. Yani the Dajjal will come out and people will follow him as God on earth. Right? And then when someone would come and reinterpret that for us and say it's not a real man and so forth, which would further complicate the situation. But we understand from these narrations that you're being saved from someone's, meaning the Dajjal, you're being saved from his trickery by reading Surah Al-Kahf. His fire is water and his water is fire, right? These are real live things that people are seeing. He tells the sky to rain, he tells the ground to grow, right? So the reality is, if they had come out already, we would have already experienced the Dajjal, right? And Isa ibn Maryam would have already descended and killed him, and then they would be here. You get what I'm saying? So according to the narrations, it seems that they are not out yet. That the people who believe that they are the Caucasus or Caucasian Jews that are the ones behind the offense, the current offense, what they call the state of Israel, and that is the Ya'juj and Ma'juj and all of that. It's just not likely, according to the narrations. It's just not likely. Yes, sir.
Are there any mention of, like, if time of the Dajjal, like if the weak believers, if they fall under his trickery, but then when they see Isa come back, would they switch sides, like say, oh, I was misled and
It's possible. Do you know that the Allah's guidance is, our brother asked about, what about the people who fell under the spell of the Dajjal, and they have weak faith, and then Isa ibn Maryam comes back, and then they said, oh, I messed up, so let me come back. It's possible. Allah's tawbah to Allah, and returning back to Allah, it never ends until the sun comes up from this opposite direction. When it comes up from the west, then that's it. But as long as we have not reached that point, even those weak Muslims who came under the spell of the Dajjal, if they come to their senses and come and support Isa ibn Maryam, they will be accepted by Allah. Of course. Yes, ma'am. 1 second, I'll come to you.
I actually just wanted to kind of ask you, there's a campaign or movement nowadays in our time to discredit this historical facts in the Quran. And there are, especially among the youth, that anything that is historically present in the Quran, whether it's the past, for example, the defeat of the Roman Empire and so forth. And one of the stories that is happening now is the story of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, where there are a lot of websites and a lot of literature written that saying that it's symbolic, it's not. So if you could address that, especially to the youth, because this is very dangerous and a lot of questions are being asked by the youth about this particular campaign that's going on.
Our sister informed us about a campaign that's going on to erase the historical realities of the Quran and also some of that which is going to be in the future, like Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And Allah said, يُرِيدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ وَاللَّهُ مُتِمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. Allah says that they want to use their mouths to extinguish the light of Allah. But Allah will complete His light. Even though the disbelievers detest it, they hate it. But Allah will complete His light. Right? Did they try to use their mouths by defaming us, Muslims, calling us terrorists, right? Calling us all types of names and all of this scare tactics and fear-mongering that they use against us to make us question our faith, and so many things that they're doing. But Allah said He will complete His light. He is going to complete His light. Even though the disbelievers detest it, and they can try their hardest. And as they are trying their hardest, they are sealing their fate, and they are going to make the reality of this deen even more known. But my sons and daughters and my dear respected elders, learn your religion. Nobody's keeping you from learning this deen. Nobody, except you. And I say this almost every week. Nothing is keeping you and I from studying the deen except us. We got to study. We have to read. We have to ask questions. We have to come to our masajid and make it a place of understanding, not of just eating biryani. Right? In Ramadan? Stop. Or fried chicken. Or having somebody's the person's aqiqah, the day that they were born, and celebrate their birth.
Birthday.
Right? Or any other celebration. The masjid is not restricted to that. The masjid is beyond. The masjid is a house of Allah. This should be a house of enlightenment. That we are come here to learn and understand and meet and love each other and be active. That's what the house of Allah are for. They're more important than your house and my house. More important. If you secure your house and the masjid's doors are unlocked, then we've all betrayed that trust. Your house is secure. You got alarm system after alarm system. Right? And deadbolt lock after deadbolt lock. But then the masjid is open all night. Then the whole community will be held accountable for that on the Day of Judgment. And if something happens to the masjid, then the whole community will be held accountable for that, because we put more precedence over there than the house of Allah. But our sister is right, that our kids need to be informed of these realities. And the more this nonsense is out there, the more we should give them this real deen, the real, pure, clean faith. We have to try hard. Ismail, did you have a question? I'm sorry. Do you remember it? Yes, what is it?
How long did Mahmoud and Mahmoud live for?
They're still alive, son. From the time of Dhul Qarnayn. And I don't know if each individual one of them have been living that long. It's possible. But also likely that they just had kids, and those kids, filled up that place. They're not exposed to GMO foods, and they're not dying because of diabetes and other things like that. So most likely they have a long life. Allah. Yes, sir.
I have a question. It's kind of late, but you mentioned that Ya'juj and Ma'juj destroy everything. Is that like true?
Yes, they will.
How will people be alive after?
As we said, the only people who will be alive during that time are people who are hiding in fortresses and cities and hiding away. If you're in some place secure, they won't be able to get you. They won't even care. But they'll go for the easy game. Excuse me. For the easy game. Yes, sir.
Can you repeat the question?
I'm sorry. So he asked, if the Ya'juj and Ma'juj are going to destroy everything, how are the people going to survive? Therefore, we mentioned that the Ya'juj and Ma'juj will go and take advantage of anyone who is not in a fortress, not hiding somewhere. So basically, at that time, you hide. You just hide away. And if you're with Jesus, you're lucky. You're very fortunate to be with Isa ibn Maryam, to be hiding with him. But if you're not hiding with him, you should be hiding wherever you are, away from Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and Muslims will starve. Because the Ya'juj and Ma'juj are eating everything. In fact, Prophet Muhammad said the head of an ox is better to one of them than 100 dinars, which is 100 gold pieces. Which is a lot of money. Even today, that's a lot of money. So one head of an ox is more beloved to anyone, because that's how scarce food will be. Yes, sir. I hope so. My son said that if you're in your house, you'll be safe. I hope so, son. In the basement, maybe. I hope so. Yeah, isn't it awesome? Yes, sir.
Jazakallah khair for enlightening our knowledge. My question is two parts. First part is it mentioned how many years they're going to rule? Like after they escape the barrier? And the second part, are they considered kind of a fitna that we have to seek refuge from Allah, like the same way that we seek refuge like every time in our prayers from the Satan Dajjal?
He asked two-part question. He said that is there any narration letting us know how long they'll be around? And number two, are they something that we should seek protection from regularly as we seek protection from the Dajjal. But Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I don't know of any hadith or narration or dua where Rasulullah specifically sought refuge from them. The Dajjal is still the greatest fitna. Still greater than Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Because people will have their faith and be hiding. And the rest of these guys will just go around pillaging and destroying. But the problem with the Dajjal is that he is pulling people from Iman, from faith, and tricking them into disbelief. That's why it's the greatest fitna. And if you come across something, or if someone comes across something, please let us know, because I have not come across anything specific to seeking refuge from them, the Ya'juj and Ma'juj. The second part of your question, Isa ibn Maryam will be on earth for 40 years and rule for 40 years or so. If I'm not mistaken, we narrated that already in the previous. So it's during his time. During that 40 years, they will be around. It doesn't seem like they will be around for very long, honestly. But I don't also know of any narration that tells us how long that is. So if you all find any narration of that sort, please let us know. Yep. Any sisters had any questions? Again, before we go back to the brothers? Yes, go ahead, sir.
What happens if Ya'juj and Ma'juj find you, like while you're hiding?
Say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And try your best to fight back and go out with dignity, brother. Go out with dignity. Wallahu a'lam. Yes, sir.
So I have essentially two questions. First of all, when you say you're going to be hiding in a fortress, would you actually have to be hiding in a castle, or just like, maybe like a building or a house?
A building could be a fortress. A house can be a fortress. You can fortify it to make it like a fortress. Just make sure you hide. Right?
So like hiding, like when you say fortify, would you like to say like put walls around it, or just
it can be
try to
whatever you
like lock the door?
I mean, there's so many ways to fortify a home or a castle. I mean, castles are big. People don't live in castles, right? But think about it. You're talking about fortifying wherever you're living. You can fortify it with, security, like these, home security things. That's fortifying your home. They won't work, I don't think, during the time of the job. They won't. They won't care even. Like nobody's going to be monitoring your house. They worry about their own. But you will be able to fortify it with whatever means. If you're hiding and you're trying to seek Allah's protection from them, Allah will protect you. He has no reason not to protect you, and He wants to protect you. Yes, sir.
Can you remind us where Isa will be at that time, so that you escape there?
Our brother asked us, can we remind him where Isa ibn Maryam will be? He will be in Jerusalem. Therefore, Jerusalem will be ruled and governed and administered by people who fear Allah and people who believe in the fact that Allah Jalla wa Ala is the only deity that exists and that Muhammad is His messenger. That's a reality that will happen. Whether it's now or later, it will definitely happen. And that's what Jesus will be. Right? Yes.
In the coming series, are we going to talk about the passing of Jesus?
We already spoke on him, but the videos are available for anyone to see. We talked about the passing of Isa ibn Maryam and everything. We're going to take one more question. Go ahead, son.
NASA said that we will be able to inhabit different planets by the end of by nearly 2090s.
Okay.
So I hope that they don't come out until then, because if they're stuck on Earth, we can
just
be in a different.
get out.
We should be in a whole new.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I like this kid. I like this kid. He's a sci-fi kid.
Take me out of the Milky Way.
I love it. I love it. That means he's thinking. I love it. I used to be just like that. I love it. Awesome. Awesome. Hopefully, son. If not, then we're going to be here hanging on, brother, and asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to understand this deen, that He helps us to build Allah's houses, in this house and the rest of the houses of Allah. And we ask that Allah help to bring us here so that we can understand a few things about this religion and become better Muslims, inshallah. Anything that I've said that is correct, then it is from Allah alone, not from me. And anything, however, that I've said that is incorrect, then I apologize for that. That is from me and that's from shaitan. May Allah Jalla wa Ala help us to understand. Wa sallallahu wa sallama ala nabiyyina Muhammad. Jazakumullah khair.